I want to share with you how the Lord has been feeding me just like Elijah in the Bible. And I am going to share with you some of those meals. I've actually taken a week to do this. And what I'm going to start with is, first I'm going to tell you what led me to the situation where the Lord started manifesting this in my life. And He's been doing it for a solid year plus. This has been happening every day. And then I'm going to share with you those scriptures of Elijah. There are 2 scriptures. And then I'm going to share with you the videos of those foods, as well as the Bible principles that are having this happen in my life, principles that really apply and are there for all Christians. Okay, first I want to share with you the situation that actually had me at a place where this began, and it continues. This is not a past tense story. This is an ongoing story that started last October, and it's been continuing on. Now, in my situation, what happened is that, I have a channel on YouTube, and I use that channel to evangelize. And the way that I do it is I do it through music, and I also share dreams, visions, and such the Lord has given me. And whether it is apparent or not, this channel has an ongoing cost to me in order to do this work that really minimally is $200 a month. Sometimes it's more. And my channel's been there for a few years, so whether it is apparent or not, I've actually spent several $1,000s. I don't have any advertising on the channel, and I don't have any sponsors. I don't have a Patreon page. I don't have anything set up. I have been paying for these things out of my pocket a year ago because of the death of my husband, which was actually 10 years ago, and all the things that led to it. Facing financial hardship, I had come to a point where I had to relocate from my house. I had lost the house. I couldn't carry it, and I found myself having to start again, even having from the hardship to go bankrupt, having to rebuild my credit, and facing the challenge of buying a house again, a small house, but having to do that and forcefully do it because, I'm just in temporary housing. And I found myself that even that $200, if I was going to keep on, it would mean using my food money. Still, I really didn't see shrinking back or stopping an option. I just went ahead, and as I always do, I paid for those things of the Lord first. Even though I have a donation link that's been there forever. You really have to have a large amount of traffic in order to get a small percentage of response from people. And my traffic, and the views I have, and especially with the changes to everyone across the board on YouTube, it's non-existent. The traffic is non-existent, so I don't ever get anyone ever aiding me. So knowing I would have no one aiding me and not having anything to count on, I still went ahead. Because to me, it didn't seem an option to shrink back. And that's when it started to happen. Before I even had a lack of food, before I even got to the point where I may pray about it, all of a sudden the Lord started this miracle. He started moving people that resulted in my having food given to me and continue to have food given to me. Those meals, complete meals from restaurants every day. And it's been ongoing for over a year. I have gotten over 300 and how many different meals. And some of those meals I put at the end. And I go into the biblical principles about why this is happening. Why this is happening to me. It's a big thing. And the sharing further details about it, including the meals and further details how this is happening in my life, that shows that this is something like he was doing with Elijah. So, now that said, let me now share with you those scriptures concerning Elijah. We see here in 1 Kings 17, verse 2, where God directed Elijah to go and hide. Now, when God told Elijah to go and hide, he didn't take him by a limousine. He didn't take him by a company car. He didn't send someone with a horse to take him over there. And he didn't take him to a 5-star inn. He told him to go and hide by a brook. And he didn't have him situated next to a restaurant. He told him that he was going to send ravens with food. Ravens! Well, when you think of ravens, I imagine what might have crossed Elijah's mind. Was he going to be brought worms? Well, you know, some servants were willing to exist on things like John, who ate locusts. But Elijah was a faithful servant, and he went to this austere place, and we can see that he's a perfect example that being a servant of the Lord does not equate with getting fine things in life. It's not a reflection of getting any kind of worldly goods. In fact, you can be in tremendous hardship and be a top servant. And so we see in here, I'm going to read this to you, where I'm reading 1 Kings 17, verse 2. Then the word of the Lord came to Elijah. Leave here, turn eastward, and hide in the Kerith ravine, east of the Jordan. You will drink from the brook, and I have directed the ravens to supply you with food there. So he did what the Lord told him. He went to the Kerith ravine, east of the Jordan, and stayed there. The ravens brought him bread and meat in the morning, and bread and meat in the evening, and he drank from the brook. Well, drinking from the brook, as you know, isn't like drinking from a water fountain. But he was sustained. And later on, when the brook dried up, because there wasn't any rain in the land, you see, the Lord wasn't taking up those gaps. He wasn't sending down rain. He wasn't keeping everything topped off. Things went a natural way. And so then God directed him once again to go to Zarephath in the region of Sidon and stay there. And I'm reading this. I have directed a widow there to supply you with food. So he went there. Now when he went to this place, he actually came upon a widow that was going to make her last meal and prepare to die. So God didn't send him to the widow who was the wealthy widow in the town who had riches and servants. He sent him to the one with the smallest amount, ready to die. That's who he sent him to. So we see that Elijah, and all that time, was in hardship. He wasn't given what we would think would be the thing to do, money. He wasn't given a job that would bring him these things. He wasn't given people who would just give him great food, who had everything. He was instead, every step of the way, himself having to walk in an obedience that was refining him like fire refines gold and silver. So you see, even though he was a great prophet, the whole time he too was being refined, because God refines those he loves. He's making us into perfect gold, perfect imitations of him. And through that process, we have to go through things. He's putting us through things that are far from ideal, and they're challenges. Yet he keeps those who are his in total provisions, but total provisions according to his definition, which was Elijah was given things necessary to eat, but in order to do it, he had to be obedient to things that many people would balk at. And I want to share with you a similar thing that has been going on in my life for a year now. A year in my own life. Now, this is really a manifestation of the scriptures, Luke 12. And I'm going to read to you that section. And seek not ye what ye shall eat, or what ye shall drink, neither be ye of doubtful mind. For all these things do the nations of the world seek after, and your Father knoweth that ye have need of these things. But rather seek ye the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. This principle, we know Elijah was walking in. He walked in putting the kingdom of the Lord, the kingdom of God, first in his life. That was first. And so I found myself, through really the leading of the Lord, having a similar kind of focus as Elijah, where only the things of the Lord are things that I'm living my life by. Now, I hadn't really planned on sharing this story, but I would often think about it from time to time, because it was just amazing. It's amazing how it's been going on. It's not just one time. It's been at least 360 some times. And it's just like the Bible. It's exactly what's happening in the Bible, in that I am not worrying about what to eat. I'm going ahead doing what the Lord gives me to do. I'm saying nothing whatsoever to the people. This is how it's a little bit different between me and the way Elijah was with the widow, and that he told the widow, give me some food. But it's more a little bit the mix between how the widow gave him food, was moved to do it, because, hey, there's a woman feeding a strange man. She could have told him, who are you? You're not my husband. But she accepted him. That's how the Lord moved her heart. She accepted him into the house when he had asked it, and she was obedient to go ahead and do this. She didn't brush him off. But in the way also that it's like the ravens giving, when they were giving food to Elijah, and that Elijah didn't ask the ravens, God just sent the ravens. And this is the same thing in my case. Never have I ever asked or made known in any way to my family that for food. Not in any way, because, at the time when I was finding myself with this problem, I just in faith did it, and before I even could find myself with a lack, the Lord suddenly had this situation in my life where my mom came home with more food than she could have. It's just a restaurant was just giving her 3.5 times the meal. She would just pay $9 or $10, sometimes even $8, and being given full meals of 3 people. And I was, before I even had the lack, there it started, and it has continued. That's the whole thing here. Before I even had the lack. So never did I even come to a place where I found myself without any food to eat, where I would even say anything. And I was grateful the first time, and then it happened again, and it happened again, and it's just been continual without my ever getting to a point where I would find myself without anything to eat. The food comes. All that time, the Lord continues, first of all, keeping my parents alive. They're 89 and 90. they are able to go out to restaurants and drive around. And he continues to move them, and he continues to move the restaurants to give an abundance of what's normal, an abundance. And this isn't because I prayed for it. I asked for it. I just kept on and keep on doing what the Lord wants, despite myself not having the way. Just like Elijah, he didn't have anything. And I just want to just share this. This is a sound. It's time for my lunch. And when I walked in there into the house to check for my mail, I had this nice Cuban sandwich. I'm going to lose my mouse here. This nice Cuban sandwich I'm going to enjoy for my lunch, just at the time when it's time for my lunch. So what is happening is consistently every day, and the day that might not be, because it's rare when it happens, the weather can be bad or something, they can't go out. And I just go into my freezer, and the leftovers of the things I have gotten, or sometimes I'm given food when I've already eaten. I don't need the food at the time, but it turns out to be food that the Lord has me stored, that when there are the times when they can't go out, there's that food. So the Lord is taking care of me. He's taking care of me in this way. So it is now Thursday. It's 2 days after when I just showed you the lunch that I got, the Cuban sandwich. Now, when I went to the house yesterday, I found a takeout dinner for myself in the freezer. And I am going to show it here, because I still have it, because when I went out yesterday, I was on the way out to go do some shopping for myself, and I didn't really need it then, but this is how I can show you how the Lord works. When I went grocery shopping yesterday, I had on my list to get myself some kind of sandwich meat. Well, I forgot, because I had so much that I was trying to do in such a short amount of time. But before I had left, I had found another meal for myself. And I really had enough food that day that I put it in the freezer. So today, when I found that my hours have gone much later, when things are closed, and I didn't have anything for lunch, but I knew I had something to eat for dinner, and I have my breakfast covered. That's one thing that I cover, my breakfast and usually my lunch too. I have that prepared. Well, when I went into the house today to check on my mail, I found that they had given me a sandwich. So here I have now before me my lunch that I hadn't planned for, and my dinner for tonight. And I just want to share so you can see. This is the sandwich that I got tonight, which is they went to the same place that they went the other night to get the Cuban sandwich. But this time it is a tuna fish sandwich. Okay, tuna fish, yum. I like tuna fish sandwich. Especially I like free tuna fish sandwich. It tastes even better. So here I have my lunch that the Lord has given me. Oh, He's given me my lunch. Okay? So, even though the people were moved when they went to get it for me. And then from last night, which is going to be my dinner. Here's the take-home that they have. And I don't know if you can see it. It's frozen because I put it in last night. I'm telling you, see how the Lord's giving me complete meals. I've got here chicken, rice, potatoes, plantain. Now this is frozen. If I don't eat it tonight because I nibble on something else, it'll be good the next night. And usually how it turns out is that even if I plan to eat it later on, I may find I eat something else, and when I get to the point of eating the other meal, it's when the people, my parents, could not go out for whatever reason. They were too busy themselves, and so I'm always covered. Look, these meals. Elijah, he didn't have the money to feed himself. It's not just a matter of when he had to hide, but we learn through the Bible story that Elijah, when he went back to that town, didn't have the money to feed himself. He depended still for the Lord to give him food. In fact, the Lord mandated, go to this widow and she will feed you. He didn't say for one night. He said, feed you. That was who he assigned to feed Elijah. Elijah wasn't given a job to earn his food, even though we know that Paul said he worked for his food. But sometimes we also know Paul said he went to bed hungry. And sometimes Paul accepted provisions from others who gave him the provisions. So it's just how God works, and how he does it is different. Can be different for everybody, but there's always that common ground. When the people he is doing this for are his servants, and they are seeking his kingdom first, the first matter in their life. Okay, now this is the next day, and when I went inside the house this evening, I found yet another meal for me. As you can see, and I'm sharing it again, I'm going to have this is put in the freezer. This is a pretty tasty kind of sweet and sour chicken with white rice and garlic bread. And it's frozen, so when I microwave it, like any frozen dinner, it'll come to life. But it's very tasty. As you can see, look, it's a full meal. These things are there for me. This is restaurant meal. So this is fantastic. It's tasty. I mean, it's wonderful. I'm getting restaurant food. The Lord is providing to me restaurant food. The restaurant themselves have served too much portion, and my parents only paid for one meal to take out, and they're given so much that they have no recourse. Now I think I know why the Lord had me do this week. Because this has been a week where I can show a variety of how the varied ways the Lord is doing it. So, it erases the people saying, oh, well, this one restaurant, oh, well, no, because as I'm showing you, wherever the people are going, they are being moved like that widow to give provisions. And it's not just my parents, it's the places where they are going to are supplying an overabundance of food each day. And this, as I said, has been over a year. So that's why it is in the level of what God is doing and what he did for Elijah through the widow and through the ravens, how he moved them to continually keep Elijah fed. And in my case, as I said, the gap that I'm using, stepping on faith to do the work for the Lord that is out of my food money, at no time the Lord has left me in lack. He is giving me full provisions. And what makes this one particularly interesting is that tonight my mother went to a party. And so, again, I had no asking of anything. She comes home with so much food that it's enough after she had herself for 2 leftovers, that here now I get to enjoy some quality party food. I have here a little ham sandwich, some pastries, and a salad, which I've had this salad before made by this woman at this party. It's very delicious. And these plantains. So this now, I come into the house to get my mail, and I find I have a whole meal waiting just for me. No other party food was brought home for the other people in this house. The party food that was brought home was designated for me. In fact, my mother was on the phone, and she stopped her conversation with the person on the phone when I came into the kitchen to say, in the refrigerator for you is this food. So you see what I am saying. You're seeing the pattern. You're seeing how powerful the word of the Lord is active in my life, because I am seeking first in faith the things of the Lord. Well, I'm excited to share with you yet another meal that I found for myself today, which is Sunday. And this meal, my parents went to a different restaurant. I recognize the meal. It's a second restaurant that they go to that serves this specialty yellow rice dish. And again, I want to point out to you that this is in excess to what my parents could eat. And as you notice, there is another piece of bread. Again, my parents got their bread, and they were given so much bread that it left bread for myself. And as you can see, this is a really large portion. I'm looking at this chicken, and I really think that I can maybe cut it in half and have another meal from it. It's frozen, so when I microwave it, it's going to be much more. But as you can see, it's quite a lot of chicken. It's covered with cheese, and it's a full meal all in itself. At every entree, there's always so much that I end up with a meal myself. And this is a different restaurant. Yet another day with another meal. That this one was left in the fridge for me last night, and when I went there this morning, I found it for myself. It's another sandwich. Now, in the time that I started filming this stuff last week, I actually found out. This is where I found out that these sandwiches, I had thought that maybe my mom was ordering an extra sandwich for me. No, what has been happening, it's been following the principle too, that they'll make the sandwiches so big that she will then have her sandwich cut in half, and then before it's served to her, she'll have it cut in half, and she'll ask them to bag the half. And that's what I've been getting, because the sandwiches are just too big for her to eat. And it's true, because when I eat this sandwich, I am full. I had some chips or something like that. So today it is another Cuban sandwich. Take this little sandwich out. And when I started this video, the first one I showed you is a Cuban sandwich. And this sandwich comes with mayo and tomatoes and such. And it's a great sandwich. Now, this is what I'm going to eat for my lunch. It will cover one of my meals. And when this covers one of my meals, and every day one of my meals is being covered, then all I have to then cover is 2 meals. And that has been leaving me with the money free to continue to meet these evangelizing costs that I have. So this is really, this is how the Lord is working it. He knows what I'm spending, and He is taking up the gap where I'm not having the money then to meet my own food. Well, as I said, He is doing it. This started and it's been ongoing. So I've never had a lack. I've never had a lack. How long this is going to go on? Well, I guess as long as I'm walking it, or until whatever the prophecy the Lord gave me that people would be aiding me. But I don't know, because that could be a really long way off, because the numbers, things are changing in YouTube and other video places where it's getting hard to share the Christian word. And then this one I just had to include because they just went in right now. And this is kind of typical too. Is my mother explained to me, you can see the size, this is a lot of fish. This is fish, okay. It's frozen because it was in the freezer for me. But my mother told me that when she got the fish, there was this much of these this much of these fried fish. This is a lot of fish. In fact, I think I'm going to split it up. But I want you to see that she said there was enough for her to have, my father to have, and then all this yet left over. All this yet left over. This is definitely 2 servings of fish for myself. And she's trying to understand how the restaurant could be giving her so much, just a mound of fish. And it's not that it was closing for the day. It was she went in prime time. Yes, she ordered. She paid for one meal, one person meal, and she was giving so much that even though they took their full, all this is left over for me to feast on. In fact, it's more fish than I myself can have. And it is a full dinner. And this is the meal I got after this second Cuban sandwich that I had before this. So this is the thing. My mother and my parents are mystified how the restaurant is giving them such tremendous amount of food. And like I told you, then she'll go to another restaurant and they will do the same thing. Just give so much, really tremendous amount of food that they can't eat it all. And so they just by sheer amount have an abundant amount to have for me. And so I'm always finding, and this happened, like I said, it started happening as soon as I stepped out and just went ahead and continued to pay for the things that I'm doing, evangelizing. I never have had any lack, because this miracle of this, it's almost like the portions, servings of the restaurant have become that never-ending jugs of flour and oil of the widows. It's just an abundance, just keeps being there. Okay, I said to myself, as long as I didn't finish editing, if I got any meals, I would be filming them for this. Okay, well, I'm getting close to finishing here. Now, the meal before this one is the fish that I showed, where my parents got abundance of fish. I haven't yet eaten that. That's in the freezer. And I went into the house to get my mail, and I was told there was another meal for me. And now here is this meal. Now, this meal, like I said before, they're given actually extra pieces of bread. So it's all being given, so I end up with a full meal myself. This one is white rice. It's got potatoes, a little thigh of chicken, plantain, and also I have a cake here, a piece of cake. Now, this little drumstick, if I'm going to have this for my lunch, it's sufficient. But if I was going to have this for my dinner, and I didn't feel that this drumstick was enough, that fish was so much that I showed you that the fish I could split to another meal. I could just add 3 or 4 pieces of that fish here, which is the size of this drumstick, and I would have more and plenty than what I could eat. So that is the amazing thing, how the Lord plans everything. He plans everything so much that I always have plenty. I'm always with plenty of food for the day. It all, either something may be added from another meal. Actually, this is plenty for me now, and I'm going to have this when I finish filming this. And the cake, I don't even have room for the cake in my stomach right now. And so it is just amazing. And as I said, this what you're seeing here is after my parents served themselves. They each got a piece of bread, and this is more than what they could even eat, that it was there for me in the freezer. I really truly am getting miraculously given a meal a day as the Lord fed Elijah This isn't an ordinary finding food for yourself. This, like I said, the whole crux of it was it began when I stepped forth in faith and didn't have the means to pay for my groceries that month. And before I had the lack, it began, and it's been consistent. It has been consistent. The thing is, this meal is really a great one to end with. It helps to be representative, symbolic of all this abundance that the Lord has given me. This is not ordinary amount of food to be given that your family member might be passing on to you. Like I said, daily, as you have seen. I think I've shown you this makes the 10th meal now. 10 days in a row. Look what God is doing. I am truly being fed like Elijah. Now, I want to say, some people will say, well, how about food stamps? Well, I am getting the maximum amount of food stamps for my income level, which is the least amount that they give, and that is just $15, and that, as you can tell, is not enough for anyone to buy a month's worth of even a single meal. The Lord God knows everything, and He's fully aware of my situation. And the reason He is giving these provisions is because He knows that there is no, short of donations, there are no other alternatives. And since this is a work that He wants me to continue doing, and it is His kingdom work, He then is opening the heavens and moving the various people in order to keep me fed like He kept Elijah fed. The Lord usually works in that He meets your need. And sometimes it isn't so glamorous, but He's meeting your need. And He specifies, don't worry about what you eat. You know, He knows you need to eat. And He's going to give it to you. And see, I'm sharing this because I'm actually living this principle. The Lord has been providing to me, in essence, really 1/3 of my meals that for the month, and that meals that He's giving me, that if I had to pay for them, I wouldn't have the money to do these things I'm doing. But since He's giving me the food, it's leaving me with the money to continue on doing these works that He is having me do. Now I have to say, neither my parents know that I do any of these things that I evangelize, because I myself am in a place in the house where I am cut off from the rest of the house. I don't have connection to the house. And they're of an age that they don't have internet. They don't see internet. They're not interested in internet, so they don't even know that I have this channel, that I plow, have my hand to the plow, that I do all these different things. They have absolutely no awareness. And it was even cooler is that I might feel like having some meat or some pot roast. Oh Lord, you know, I have a taste for beef, and my mother will come home with beef. Whatever I might have a taste for, she'll come home with that. She'll come home with that meal. So this is the really cool thing about it, is that the Lord hears the prayers of those who fear Him. He knows my thoughts, and He moves the people. He'll move my family to order this. I'm like I said, I'm cut off from the house. I don't have conversations. And so whether they have realized it or not, through this thing going on, and it takes the restaurant first to do this. When you walk with the Lord, you see how the Lord can, and He does, control every little thing. That's how He could roll back that river in the Old Testament. Roll it right back up so the nation could cross. And I'm not talking about the Red Sea. He did it. He did this separate thing as well. He controls every last little thing. So I'm trying to shed light on this, because the way the Lord does give provisions often is nothing whatsoever with how prosperity preachers teach. They get people to set their eyes on the world, to want things in worldly luxury, and it manages to include also to feed the bellies of these preachers, when in truth, when you examine the scriptures, how the Lord gives provisions is nothing whatsoever something the world likes. The very thing the Lord has said, even in Mark 6 verse 8, when he told the apostles, just go out and do your ministry. Just go with a staff. Don't even take bread. Don't take any money. They obeyed. They obeyed, and they went out in utter faith, trusting that Jesus would provide. I have encountered the same thing, and it's in action in my life. A person of this century is not something just happening in the Bible days. So just so you can see this inactive in someone's life before you that's just like you. I haven't even gone overseas. The ministry I'm doing is just a small channel. Really, it's work that some people wouldn't even recognize as being of value. But to the Lord, he recognizes it, that he is then giving me provisions to continue to meet my food need, where I'm spending on the ministry work for him. So this can buoy you as well. If you are a small channel doing a particular ministry for the Lord that may not be recognized by actual churches, and it may not even be recognized by the people you're even trying to share the message, you can take heart in what is going on, that how the Lord gives the provisions is based on the biblical verses and not on the approval of people.